I used to start every morning the same bad way. I would pick up my phone to check the news, and 40 minutes later, I was still scrolling, having read 100 angry headlines and learned almost nothing useful. The feed was working exactly as designed. It is built to never end, to always have one more thing, to keep you there. And one day I just got tired of losing that time. So I built a small thing that fixed it. Now every morning I get one short digest. A handful of items from sources I actually chose, summarized in plain language, ranked by what matters to me. And then it stops. There is no infinite scroll, because there is nothing more to scroll. In the next 12 minutes, I want to walk you through how I built it, what it costs, and the honest places where it still falls short. The feed is the problem, not the news. Let me name the real issue first, because it is not that there is too much news. It is that the feed is not actually trying to inform you. It is trying to keep you there. The longer you scroll, the better it does. So it learns to show you whatever keeps your thumb moving, which is usually whatever makes you angry or anxious. That is a great business and a terrible way to stay informed. I do not blame anyone for getting stuck in it, because it is engineered by very smart people to be sticky. But once I saw it clearly, I could not unsee it. I did not want a smarter feed that showed me better outrage. I wanted the opposite of a feed, something with a clear beginning and a clear end, that respected the fact that I have a finite amount of attention and a day to actually live. That goal, a thing that ends, shaped every decision I made after it, the shape of the fix. So here is the whole idea in one breath. Instead of an app pushing an endless stream at me, I have a small automation that pulls from sources I picked, hands each item to an AI model to summarize, ranks them by what I care about, and delivers the result to me once a day as a single short message. 4 steps. Pull, summarize, rank, deliver. And then it is done until tomorrow. The key word in there is pull. I go and get the news on my schedule once in the morning. The news does not come and get me 40 times a day. That one inversion, me pulling instead of it pushing, is most of why this works at all. The AI is doing real work in the middle, but the shape of the thing, the fact that it has an edge and stops, is what actually changed my mornings. A smarter summary inside an infinite feed would not have helped me one bit. I picked the sources, not an algorithm. The first step is the one I care most about, and it is choosing where the news comes from. Most feeds decide that for you, quietly, based on what keeps you hooked. I wanted to decide it myself, so I use a simple old technology called RSS, which is just a plain list of new items that a website publishes. Most blogs and news sites still offer it, even if they hide the link. I picked a couple of dozen sources I genuinely trust across the things I want to follow, and that is the entire input. No algorithm guessing what I might like, no promoted posts sliding in, no engagement bait from accounts I never followed. If a source starts wasting my time, I remove it, and if I find a good new one, I add it. That list is mine, and it changes only when I decide it should. This is the part one will not automate away, because the whole point was to take back control of what gets into my head, and handing that decision to a machine would defeat the entire exercise. I want to dwell on RSS for a second, because most people my age have forgotten it ever existed, and that is a quiet little tragedy. Years ago, before the big feeds took over, this is how a lot of us read the web. You subscribed to the sites you liked, and then new posts came to you in a plain list, in order, with nothing in between. No ranking against your will, no ads dressed up as articles, no mystery about why you were seeing something. Then the platforms decided they would rather choose for you, and RSS slowly faded into the background. But it never actually went away. The sites still publish those plain lists quietly because plenty of software still reads them. So building on RSS is not some clever new hack. It is just picking up a tool that was always there, that gives you exactly the thing the feeds took away, which is a direct line to the sources you chose, with nobody sitting in the middle deciding what you get to see. Then the model does the reading for me. Once I have the raw items, the AI model earns its keep. For each article it pulls in, I ask it to do one simple job. Read this and tell me in 3 or 4 plain sentences what actually happened and why it might matter. No clickbait, no breathless framing, just the substance. This is the part that genuinely saves me time, because most articles bury one real fact under 10 paragraphs of padding, and the model is very good at finding that fact and handing it to me directly. I get to read a clean summary of 20 things in the time it used to take me to half read 3. And if a summary makes me want the full story, the original link is right there, so I can go deeper on the few things that earn it. The model is not deciding what is true here, to be clear. It is condensing, not judging. It can only summarize what the article says, so if the article is wrong, the summary is faithfully wrong too. I keep that in mind. The instruction I give the model matters more than I expected, so it is worth a word. My first attempts came back sounding exactly like the headlines I was trying to escape, all breathless and dramatic, because that is the tone the model had read a million times. So I had to be specific. I tell it to write the way a calm friend would explain the story to me, plainly, with the boring important parts left in and the hype stripped out. I tell it not to editorialize, not to guess at things the article does not say, and to be honest when a story is actually small. That one paragraph of instructions does an enormous amount of work. It is the difference between a digest that feels like a quieter version of the same noise and a digest that genuinely lowers my blood pressure in the morning. Getting that tone right took a few rounds of reading the output, wincing and adjusting the same way you would coach a new assistant on how you actually like things written. Ranking what actually matters to me. 20 summaries is better than 100 headlines, but it is still more than I want first thing in the morning. So the last bit of intelligence is ranking. I gave the model a short description of what I actually care about, the topics I follow closely, and the kind of thing that is genuinely useful to me. And it uses that to sort the day's items, most relevant to me at the top. So the 3 or 4 things I would really want to know land first, and the rest trails off below them, there if I want it. The ranking is rough, and I would never call it perfect. Some mornings it buries something I would have wanted higher, or pushes up something I do not care about that day. But rough and mostly right, delivered once, beats a perfect feed that never ends. I would take a slightly imperfect digest that respects my time over an algorithm that optimizes my outrage every single day. It shows up once, then it stops. Here is the part that actually changed my behavior. The whole thing runs on a schedule early each morning before I am even awake. By the time I pick up my phone, the digest is already sitting there as one short message. I read it, I tap into the 2 or 3 things that earned a closer look, and then I am done. There is no next page. There is no pull to refresh that loads 10 more things. When I reach the bottom, I have reached the actual bottom, and my brain finally gets the signal that this task is finished. That feeling of being done with the news instead of escaping from it is the entire payoff. I genuinely get my mornings back, and the strange part is I do not feel less informed. I feel more informed because I actually absorbed the handful of things that mattered instead of skimming 100 that did not. Let me be honest about the limits. Now the honest part, because this is not magic. It misses things. It only knows about the sources I gave it, so if something big breaks outside that list, my digest will be quietly silent on it until one of my sources picks it up. The summaries flatten nuance. A careful, complicated story can get squashed into 3 sentences that lose the very thing that made it worth reading. So for anything that really matters, I still open the original, and the ranking can be fooled by a loud headline the same way I can, because it is reading the same words I would. So I do not treat this thing as my only window on the world. It is a filter that handles the daily fire hose, not a replacement for actually thinking. It also took some tuning. Early on, it ranked everything as urgent, because everything sounds urgent when you read it cold. I had to teach it, with examples, what calm and what actually important look like for me specifically. There is one more honest risk I had to think hard about, which is the echo chamber. When you handpick your own sources, you can very easily build yourself a comfortable little bubble, where you only ever hear the things you already agree with. A feed at least throws the occasional uncomfortable thing at you, even if it does it for the wrong reasons. So I deliberately keep a few sources in my list that I do not fully agree with, ones that see the world a bit differently than I do, precisely so the digest does not just become a mirror. It is a small discipline, but it matters because the danger of curating your own news is not that a machine traps you. It is that you quietly trap yourself and it feels great the whole time. The tool does exactly what I tell it, which means the responsibility for keeping it honest is entirely mine. I would rather face that on purpose than pretend an algorithm was the only thing ever narrowing my view. What it costs and what stays mine. On cost, this one is cheap. The model calls for summarizing a couple of dozen short articles a day come out to a few cents, so it rounds to roughly $1 or $2 a month. It runs on a schedule on a machine I already live on, so there is no server to rent. The only real cost was an afternoon of setup and the ongoing 5 seconds it takes to add or drop a source, and that points at what stays my job. I choose the sources always, I decide when the list has gone stale, and I do the actual thinking about what any of it means. Because a summary is an input to a decision, never the decision itself. The automation handles the part one hated, the endless scrolling and skimming, and it hands me back the part one value, which is a quiet, finite morning read that ends. So should you build this too? Would I tell everyone to build this? If you are happy with your feed genuinely, then leave it alone, no shame in that. But if you have ever looked up from your phone and wondered where 40 minutes went, this is worth an afternoon. You do not need anything fancy. A list of sources you trust, a model to do the reading, and a schedule to deliver it once. The magic is not in the AI at all, honestly. The magic is in building something that ends, on purpose, in a world full of things designed never to. I am going to keep tuning mine, and I might do a deeper walkthrough of the exact setup if people want it. If building small, honest tools that give you your time back instead of stealing it is your kind of thing, subscribe and follow along, because there is a lot more coming. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.